here with Marc Schmid. We're at the Airush Kite Camp. We're here at Columbia River Gorge, and we're going to actually have you run us through the Twintip line for 2018.
Perfect. Yeah, so we really expanded our range this year, expanding the offering from entry level all the way to the advanced rider and various different disciplines and various different constructions. So we can start off with our most popular board. What I'm holding right now is called the Switch Progression. Or the Switch model. It comes in three different ranges, or three different constructions, sorry. This is the Progression model. The Progression construction is a little bit more ideal for those entry-level riders. It's got a very thick ABS rail, a very parallel outline, very soft flex, and we're still using premium components like a single Velcro strap system that comes in a large or a small. So yeah, this would be more ideal for your entry level. From there, we then go into something like our Switch. So the Switch in general, it's our longest running board model. I believe it's the longest running model of any product in kiteboarding. It's about 18 years old. So yeah, the first one was 2000. Yep. And so we've just kept on developing the Switch range, and it's always geared to more of that free ride feel. The mowing the lawn, back and forth, doing boosts, a little bit of kite looping, carving, all that. So it's really driven towards the average kiteboarder who's looking for a really good board to get into riding. What you'll notice this year is we put a lot of shape and contouring into the deck, the 3D deck, and that's just allowing us to control the flex throughout the board. So we'll start to see a little bit thinner in the tips, and in the rails a little bit thicker, where you have this arch bar style to thicken up the board in the middle between the foot straps. It's just trying to keep a harmonious flex throughout the board. What you'll also notice on these are our updated element foot straps. We've decided to put a lot of work this year into this component. It features three Velcro adjustments, so you get your toe in the front and then on your arch as well. You can adjust it forward and aft. So depending on how high your arch is, you can change it to go forward or back. It's full contour, so on these base or on your foot pad, you're able to slip in a lot easier, and then there's resistance on the way out. So you'll notice that there's kind of more of a steeper mold at the going outwards, so it's a lot harder for your feet to go out than it is to go in. Kind of like a shark's skin. It's a lot smoother one way and it's a lot rougher the other way. We are, I believe, one of the only brands that does a dual molded density EVA. So you get a super cush landing, super soft underfoot, but on the hard landings it's able to compress, and then yeah, we have a second harder density. We've also shaped it very similar to running shoes, where you have high impact and allows your feet to splay outwards rather than more inwards. So it's directing it more outwards. So this is the Switch in the standard construction, and this is one of our go-to boards. Then we go into the carbon construction. So again, this is the carbon copy of the Switch in the standard construction, only it's in our carbon version. So the whole shape and the size offering is the same. But from here, we're using a premium carbon construction. It's a lot lighter weight. It's got a lot better flex characteristics. Overall smoother. It dampens out the chop, because a lot of people are concerned that the carbon in general is just a very stiff board. But the way that the type of carbon we use and the way we lay out the carbon, we can control the flex patterns throughout the board. So it's not necessarily a stiffer board, it's just a lot more refined while riding. It's a lot more smoother. It doesn't have that chatter that a lot of boards have. So from here, what we put a lot of interest into is your light wind twin tips. We have foils, we have surfboards, but some people don't live in conditions that are deep enough, like Florida. They're very like knee to waist deep, so you need to have a lot of reef, or you know, they might not be comfortable riding foils in general. They're still at that level where they still want to go ride in light winds, but they might not be really ready to use a foil. They might not be able to jibe, or they're just not there yet. So we put a lot of interest into the light wind doors. This is the Switch Sonic in the progression model. So again, we're using you know, a full wood core in all of our boards with premium components, but this would be a really good first time light wind board. From there, we're going into a little bit more serious style, because we're taking a very similar outlook on light wind, but then we're also going into more of twin tip racing. So we have the Switch Sonic in the standard construction and in the team construction, which is our full carbon. And this board will open up a lot more options for light wind twin tip racing. They're doing a lot more in Europe, overseas in Asia, and eventually, or perhaps it could be an Olympic or junior Olympic offering with twin tip racing. So we put a lot of focus in the lighter wind aspects of the twin tip racing, and we've offered it in a standard construction or in the carbon construction. This is what Sam Medeski got second on yesterday with a pair of boots and a 12-meter lithium.
At the Kiteboard for Cancer Derby.
At the Kiteboard for Cancer, so 6 hours solo, and he was able to scream on this. It does help that, you know, it's asymmetrical, so you got more of a channel running on your heel side. You've got a 4 with a 6-pin option. If you don't want to run the 6-pin, it does include a plug, so you can plug it and seal up the hole so you don't get a water spray. You'll also notice that it's leaning more towards the rail side rather than being centered. So when you put on your boots or your straps, you're leaning a lot more toward your heel side rail. You'll also notice that there's some subtle dips in the tip and tail on your heel side rail, and that's just to prevent from catching. Right. So yeah. Then we're on to the Apex. So the Apex board, so going from the Switch, you would then progress into the Apex. The Apex is a little bit more refined with a higher rocker than the Switch. It's also got a wider tip, or wider outline than the Switch. This is more ideal for riders that are leaving that free ride sector and getting a little bit more into that freestyle. So those who are doing those dark slides, Jesus walks, board offs, kite looping. It's a really fun board for kite looping because it's got a lot of rocker to it. So when you're coming in, you're not really going to catch your nose when you're coming in hot, riding downwind. So it is a good go-to board for kite looping and big airs. It's also slightly stiffer. Because we added more rocker, we made it slightly stiffer than the Switch. It is compatible with boots. A lot of guys will ride this with boots because of the rocker and because of the tip shape. They feel quite comfortable on this. It's just slightly light, slightly softer in feel than the more hardcore wake style boards. So people use this to kind of graduate into more of a serious wake style offering. This is also in a carbon version, so again, carbon copy of the Apex, but in a more refined flex pattern, a little bit stiffer in the certain areas, but more importantly, a lot more responsive.
And what's the bottom shape like?
So what we have is a what we call a Venturi Concave. So you'll start to see a subtle single concave going to here, and it widens up towards the center. What that's doing is it's removing a lot of the water flow from the fins. It's just adding a lot more grip, especially when you're using smaller fins. These are 50s, but they do come in a 40 mil fin set. So yeah, it's just an overall more locked in feel. Ideally for those who are riding with boots, they really enjoy that. How are we doing with the wind?
Pretty windy here in Hood River.
Yeah. So we've gone through a lot of the offerings that are more ideal for men. What we have put a lot of focus on with Bruna Kajia is the Diamond Series. It is our go-to range for women, and we do offer a more smaller, ideal for more petite riders. And we do that through changing flex patterns, sizes, widths, stances. All these you don't find in male boards, so we couldn't just make a smaller twin tip and scale it down. We had to work a lot with the smaller riders to get their feedback on what's more comfortable, what's, you know, a lot harsher. So we've kept the Diamond in the range, as this is our more free ride oriented board for female riders. New for 2018 is the Diamond Team. So you've probably seen Bruna on a different type board during competition this past year when she won her 2016 World Championship. This is the board that she was prototyping. So we've taken a lot of attributes from our freestyle camp with the Livewire. So we've taken a lot of that technology and we've applied it into what we've been testing with Bruna, working on a more stiffer board. She wanted a bit more rocker and a little bit more grip and channels, along with the smaller fin set. So they'll actually come with 30s that aren't shown here. This is also a carbon layout, so a lot of the women that we've been talking to are a lot more advanced than we actually thought. So they wanted something that they could take to the cable park or ride sliders and kickers, or ride up the beach constantly and abuse it. So we've added the grind base. It is the only women's board on the market that has a grind base.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, this is your go-to board. What we've also done for this year, and it's featured on the live wires as well, is you'll start to see these coming out of the board. These are carbon nano rods. It's a 3mm rod that actually goes, and I'll show it to you in the other board, which you can kind of see it. It's a CNC milled throughout the board in a bow shaped, and it's a 3mm carbon rod. What we're doing is trying to control the torsional flex of the board, so it's a lot more harmonious when you're loading and popping. Because what people will notice is when you edge and pop, the whole thing will twist and distort. And what we want to do is have it a little bit more even when you load and pop. It just gives it a lot more response and a lot more even pop. Can we edit some of this out, please? Finally, it's our Livewire range. And new for 2018 is the Livewire Jr. So what is the best way of getting more kids and more youth involved is to develop a product in the range that they can learn on, and then progress to the more advanced live wires in the range. So that's our dream, is to get them on the Livewire Jr, and then after advancing for a while, they can get on something like the Livewire 135 and they're ready to kill it. So we made this board in a 125. We've taken a lot of the ideas and ethos of the Diamond for someone that's smaller and lighter, and we've transferred it into this board, making a stance that's narrower and overall outlines a lot narrower. The flex patterns are a lot softer because you're only dealing with a kid that's like, you know, 50, 60, 70 pounds. So you'll see Cody out there, and that's like our ideal rider for this board. Someone that's super stoked, passionate about kiteboarding, and will eventually go into the more hardcore stuff, which leads us to the Livewire. Livewire this year hasn't changed terribly too much. Again, we try not to adjust things if they're not broken. You know, if the feedback remains very similar or remains constant in the year, we just really focus on the smaller bits and pieces rather than a full redesign. So we did, again, this is a lot more prominent. You can see the carbon nano rods going through, and then you can actually see them being CNC'd throughout in a bow-like fashion. This is your go-to wake style and park board. This is where most of our freestyle riders are using, and wake style riders. More hardcore riders like Oswald Smith will be using something like this, but then someone like Alex Pastor would be using the Livewire team construction. So the standard Livewire has a grind base. It's a lot more robust, it's thicker. It can handle the damage that someone like Ozzy does to his equipment all the time. But when we go into the carbon, this is more of your Lamborghini style. So this is off-road, the Livewire. This is more your premium Lamborghini competition. I want to have the biggest pop and the nicest landings. Both can be ridden with boots, and in our range, they all have a 2-year warranty on the boots. So if you're riding with boots, the boards have a 2-year warranty, which I believe is also the only one in the industry, and that's specifically on the inserts where we're guaranteeing that they don't blow out. Not necessarily on rails and stuff. So that's a no-go for warranty, but yeah. These actually don't include straps and pads. These boards come naked along with the Diamond team, so that way you can get exactly, if you really want boots or straps, you can just buy the deck only and then put whatever you want on it.
All right, so yeah, that's a pretty deep range for 2018, right? There's a lot of information there.
Exactly. So I mean, I'm holding up everyone wanting to demo it out, but yeah, it's a huge range. So
we didn't really talk numbers and sizes, but if you want all the really detailed stuff, you can go to your website.
Yeah, go to airush.com, and all the numbers, all the specs, everything, all the flex ratings on all the boards are on the website.
Great. Thank you very much, Marc. Appreciate it.
Thank you.